Well, I got my fuel injection parts from Kinsler, and I also got a lot of the remaining components I need to put together the engine from Techtonics. So show you a few things first. This X-brace that goes on the front control arms will not fit because it's interfering with the race header, the exhaust header. So we've gone to this design here from Techtonics, which will clear. So it doesn't have the X per se, but it's got all the support I think I'm going to need. And this, I don't know if I've showed anybody this, but this is the engine mount for the front engine mount that goes between the bolts that hold on the front bumpers on the sides, and then the front engine mounts to keep the front end from being torn to pieces. Then over here, I'm actually going to run an electric water pump, but the deal is that I just wanted to see, without taking this apart, this is the ABA water pump assembly, whether or not hooking up an electric water pump to the bottom port basically, and then just pushing through the impellers, whether it'll flow enough. And I absolutely think it will. Looking inside at the impellers, I don't think I need to take this apart to disable and remove the impeller. I can just push water past the water impeller electrically, and then these two side circuits which run the the water to oil cooler and the heater core, I'm running a separate smaller electric pump to power those. And then there's all the fittings and hoses that Techtonics has sent me to help finish routing things. So I'm going to start putting all that together. This goodie box has got a ton of stuff in it. So there's a pressure transducer. That's the fuel pressure regulator. This is the oxygen sensor, the wideband oxygen sensor, which is pretty trick. Map sensor, fuel pump mounting stuff. This is a 25 micron filter for the output side of the fuel pump, 10 micron filter for the input side. I think I showed, this is the 30 pound per hour fuel injectors in here. That's the high mount injectors for max horsepower, max RPM. Oops, and my injectors are spilling out. These are 19 pound units here that will be mounted closer to the cylinder head and will be for idle and part throttle and lower revs. This is an air temperature sensor, and this is very Trek. This is the Kinsler custom idle air control. So it's a combination of a housing that will bolt into my plenum log, the air filter, and then the idle air control motor itself, which opens and closes. And as I've said before, I don't know if I've got it sitting around here. Yes, I do. This is my storage locker. But this is a large capacity fuel rail. And I'm just going to cut this to size and then use this as the vacuum log that runs underneath the individual throttle bodies. And I've never shown you this, but the car has been disassembled, so this is my storage locker, which is absolutely full of parts and paint and all kinds of stuff. And there's welding stuff, and there's all my spare metal in there. So there's just tons of car parts in here. And anyway, so along here we've got some pressure sensors, the ignition coils, the actual HP, the ECU, the computer unit, and then the touchscreen programmable display. That is the main power harness. That is the injector harness. That is the nitrous solenoid driver. That is the main unterminated harness, and then ignition harness and one other harness. I'm not sure which one the other harness is, but basically there's just a massive amount of wiring to do, and I decided to go for unterminated harnesses so that I can get the wire links exactly the way I want them. So I'll route them in the engine bay and get everything really pretty, and then cut and terminate. And I've spent $100 on a really expensive crimp, like professional crimper, so that I end up with excellent results. So anyway, that's my haul from the the last the week. So I thought I'd just show what I've been doing here. I sort of set myself up as a paint booth now and just shot the sunroof panel. So I upgraded my lights to dual 1600 lumen LED lights, the snap-ons, and so it's much brighter. And so I have one table for my paint stuff, and then I got another table for spraying panels. There's my sunroof, it's done. And then over here I've created a temporary 1x2 frame to hold fans and filters. So there's a double set of filters, one on the outside of the fan and then another really high quality one on the inside. So I'm sort of rough filtering the exterior and then fine filtering the interior. And also my heater. And then on the walls I've got that 3M dust trap. I've rolled it out onto the walls, and on the floor I've used a 3M dust spray, a static spray that I've sprayed that actually on the back door here as well. So what I do is I leave the garage door open just a crack, and the fans are on low, and it just provides some nice even footage or cubic footage of air per minute. It's just the right amount. So I got I shot a epoxy sealer coat with some reducer in it, so it's thinner. And I got some junk in it the first time, so I cleaned up the garage a bit more, wet sanded it a bit, shot it the second time. It looked great. Let it sit overnight. Looked at it in the morning, tiny bit of junk in the paint, so I gave it a very quick wet sand this morning, shot a coat of base, the silver, and there was a little bit of junk in it again. I was a little bit pissed off, but not very much, just a tiny amount. So I'm not supposed to wet sand base coat, but I did a very, very light wet sand just to remove a little bit of the junk, and then I sprayed it again. It went on really nice. So I didn't touch it, I just tacked it off and then sprayed it with 3 coats of clear. And it wasn't until the 3rd coat of clear that I ended up getting a tiny amount of dust in it. I don't know what I did, but I got a little bit of dust in it. I think it'll wet sand out, because I'm going to wet sand all the clear out. So I got 3 coats of clear on it, and then we'll see whether or not I need to add any more clear. I don't think I need to go for massive amounts of clear, but we'll see. So this is my test panel, and I'm gonna shoot some more panels this afternoon. So we're getting going on this final painting here. Well, I've been busy all day here. We've got the rear axle. I'm in the process of painting it black, using the epoxy, the black epoxy I just got, which is nice. And I'll flip it over and paint the other side tomorrow once this is dry. These are the rear Delrin bushings, and the reason for this technology, or this material type, it's a self-lubricating. It's a little harder than a hard urethane, so it's kind of the one-stop down from spherical metal bearings. But as I said, it's self-lubricating, and it does give a little bit, just a tiny amount. It's not supposed to make the ride harsh, because I guess the rear axle mount back here, this is upside down, but right there, I guess the motion's all up here, and all you're doing is, for the most part, is stabilizing it and holding it in the correct position. So we'll see. I mean, I've don't have to lubricate it or anything, but one thing, by the way, these are 12 millimeter diameter bolts that act as a shaft, and this is sloppy in here, so I'm going to machine. I've decided I'm going to use bronze and machine a bronze bushing that'll go in there, that'll make it really snug. And since it's U-shaped, I will fill the square corners with epoxy, so that it's that bushing will be rigidly mounted inside that metal channel there, and then hopefully there'll be no slop. And then over here you can see I've did the sealer coat, and then I did a base clear on the fenders. The fenders up above there. And then the last thing I've done is I've shot the bumpers, and I did them up in epoxy as well because I wanted a sort of a satin black. The stock bumpers are not, you know, full on shiny. They've got a little bit of a satin finish look to them, so I wanted to replicate that with these. So hopefully these will look good when they're mounted. As I say, I still have to build the aluminum 1x2 bumper behind this, and then adhesively attach these to that. So there we go. I'll get some color on the front of these bumpers, of the fenders, tomorrow or the next day, and I will also finish shooting this. And the thing I haven't shown you is the seats are, the frames are all black now, and I'm going to get those things to the upholstery guy as soon as he calls me, says he's finished and he's ready for them, and I'm going to send those over.